Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So now that I've retired from the rubber tricking circuit and I do things like play golf with Mitch Daniels, Amy now does the Lincoln Day Dinner speaking series.
I'm really excited. This is my first one. It's this Saturday. Lake County, Indiana, Republican Party. Apparently, the lieutenant governor, she couldn't make it, Dan, so I get to be the MC.
Okay.
Very exciting. But if you
It's
guys
at
want to go...
Halls of St. George in Cherville, right?
Yes. There's a number of state politicians, Republicans, that are obviously going to be there. If you want tickets, LakeCountyRepublicanParty.com. That's LakeCountyRepublicanParty.com.
Or if you want, I can just call Mitch and get you a couple of tickets.
Yeah, so
It's
real
no big
quick,
deal.
how did you end up golfing with Mitch Daniels?
Well, I mean, we've had him
Show off.
We've had him on this show for many, many moons, a lot, and previous when I was over at WLS, we did too, and you know, and I've seen him at events, and we've become friendly. And his longtime consigliere is an attorney who used to be the managing partner at Barnes Thornburg in Chicago, named Bob Grand, and so I'm friendly with him. And then we've got some Hoosiers at the club I belong to in Naples, and so I wanted to put it together, and we put it together. Mitch is down here too. He's got a place down here.
Oh, Mitch?
Yeah, my man Mitch,
My
and he calls me my man Dan.
Oh,
And we have this little thing. We're getting T-shirts made. But I mean, he's such a great guy.
Oh,
He just
he's
did such an incredible job turning Indiana around, and now it just seems like it's on autopilot. It continues to grow and thrive and attract a lot of Illinois residents.
I found out yesterday.
Become former Illinois residents.
My neighbor is moving to Chesterton. His property taxes went up $10,000. He said, "I'm done. I'm tired of this racket." They had shell casings in front of their house. They had a murder behind their house. He said, I've had enough, and it's not feasible for me to live here anymore.
Well, one of the best things Indiana has going for it, as Daniel's always said, is Illinois being its next door neighbor. And as he said, it's like living next to the Simpsons, and that hasn't changed. So that redounds to the benefit of Mike Braun and Hoosier Republicans, no question. So I'm sure there'll be excitement at Lake County, because that's one of the sort of sticky places that Republicans can't quite break through. For example, to take out electorally, to defeat Frank Mervan and capture that congressional seat, for example. That would be nice. For more on politics, we've got a great contingent of listeners in Northwest Indiana. And a little preview of Saturday night's festivities. Please be joined by Carlin Yoder, Trump's Indiana State Director, and he is part of the Lake County Lincoln Day Dinner festivities on Saturday night. Carlin Yoder, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Try to contain your enthusiasm in terms of Amy Jacobson coming to town.
Well, I have not met Amy yet, but I'm told by everyone she will be the star of the show. So I'm just going to come in, play second fiddle, and let Amy soak in all the adoration. And I think it'll be a great night.
There you go. She's like 6'4", so don't be intimidated by her height.
I'm intimidated suddenly.
So tell us what's going on and how things are. There's been some reshuffling. You've got a new conservative governor. You've got a new conservative United States Senator in Jim Banks, and how things are going for Republicans in the Hoosier State.
Yeah, Indiana's really looking up. Governor Braun has come in and has really pushed the envelope, pushed the legislature to deliver conservative ideas such as, property tax reform, which is needed in the state. We're working through that right now. It's exciting. I think they'll get something done in the legislature, and credit to Governor Braun for coming in and doing that. Jim Banks coming into the U.S. Senate, he's a rising star. He's a staunch conservative, close ally to Donald Trump, and a close friend of mine. And I think we're going to see great things out of Senator Banks in the upcoming years as he continues to work closely with the administration. But Indiana's in a great spot. We have a balanced budget every 2 years in the state. Fiscally, we're very responsible. We're socially a conservative state, and with leaders like Braun and Banks, I think the future's bright, and can't wait to see what happens.
Well, what about your other senator, Todd Young? I know he's a Republican, but there's been some people are not too thrilled with him right now.
Yeah, we had high hopes for Todd when he came into office, and he's been in the swamp now for 15 plus years, and talking about trying to run for another 6 years, and it's just kind of disappointing to see the trajectory of his career out there as he just appears to have become swampified, for lack of a better word. Became a close ally of McConnell, and for some reason, he has this neocon viewpoint of the world, and it's been disappointing to see. Indiana can do better, and so we're going to see Senator Young, I think, try to placate Hoosiers by swerving right, but we're not fooled by that. When you go out to D.C., you need to keep the values and the morals that you ran on, and not allow Washington to do what it seems to do to everybody when they get out there. And I think Todd Young's fallen victim to that.
Yeah, he's been. It's one thing to disagree on a policy issue or an approach to a particular policy, but he's been sort of a Trump antagonist. I mean, maybe not quite as public as some, but still fairly antagonistic.
Yeah, he really has, and that's really unfortunate because we have an opportunity to get a lot of great things done with President Trump at the helm, and we are going to get a lot of great things done. But what we don't need is people on our side quietly and consistently being a burr in the side to those efforts. And for some reason, Todd just has decided that's the role he wants to play. And it's unfortunate, and I know the president is not a big fan of that approach.
Yeah.
And he can do better. We just can do better in Indiana. We are a conservative state who doesn't put up with that kind of stuff.
Well, how has he voted against the interest of Hoosiers? Can you give me some examples?
Well, yeah, I mean, you can go back to 2020 and some of those votes that he cast, and his neocon views. Constantly pushing for more war and supporting our efforts across the world while not coming back and putting America first. The CHIPS Act that President Trump is not a fan of, as we found out in the State of the Union recently, which upset Senator Young, who was behind that bill, and just trying to throw a monkey wrench in the nominations that President Trump put out there, always dragging his feet on those votes. Ultimately would vote for him, but just made President Trump work very hard to get those across the line, refusing to commit to voting for them, refusing to vote for President Trump, and loudly announcing that for the 2024 election.
Yeah, I mean, he was a never Trumper in 2024, and that is just, that is
unbelievable. It's
tough.
Unforgivable.
It's tough to.
It is unforgivable.
Tough to undo. No, exactly. I mean, that's really the Maginot Line as far as I'm concerned. But let's talk a little bit about Lake County, too, because as I mentioned at the outset, there's been a couple of good candidates the last couple cycles that have tried to defeat Frank Mervyn and continue to sort of consolidate Indiana as a deep red state. And even with Trump on the ballot and pulling in so many blue-collar workers in places like Lake County, couldn't get it done. Is that just a place where Mervyn is a good fit and it's just going to be difficult to take him out? More infrastructure needs to be built at the local level, at least?
Yeah, I think so, but I think the potential is there. Lake County voters, I think, are much more Republican-minded than they are Democrat. And as we see the craziness of the left right now and where they're continuing to go with their ideology and the craziness that they're supporting, I think we're going to see the blue-collar workers of Lake County, those families, those people who look at the left and the absolute craziness that's going on, and they're going to take another look at what they actually stand for and what they don't. We're making inroads there. And I can tell you this, as I went across the state of Indiana working for Trump during the last election, there were no more passionate Trump people out there than in Lake County. I mean, there are some really passionate pro-Trump individuals, and I think we're going to see that grow. We're not giving up on Lake County. In fact, we see it moving the right way. And I think Frank Mervan should stand on guard during the next election or two as we continue to push in that area. We can take that seat.
Who do you think his Republican challenger will be? I mean, do you have some names?
I've heard numerous names. Randy Niemeyer ran this last time. He was a great candidate. Mm-hmm. He may be potentially coming back. As you guys know, sometimes it takes a couple times to root out an incumbent. Yep. Robert Ortway is another name I've heard, who works for Governor Braun right now, but is from the region. And there's other names, too. We've got a great roster of individuals across the state, including in Northwest Indiana. I can guarantee you this, we will find the right candidate, and we will make Frank Mervan fight for his life in that seat.
You were a state legislator in Indiana. What do you think of this secession movement afoot in Illinois that has now been engaged by House Republicans in Indiana? I mean, there's nearly a third of Illinois counties in southern Illinois want to become Hoosiers, and your House Speaker seems open to the idea.
He sure seems to be. It did
redrawing
take me by surprise a little bit. Yeah. I personally, I like the lines the way they are. I don't really want any of Illinois to bleed into Indiana, but the southern part of Illinois, I think, is much more like-minded with Indiana than they are, the other areas. But I would say Illinois needs to fix their mess, and they probably are going to need conservatives in that state in order to do it, or they're going to be in big trouble. But, it's fun to stir it up, and it's fun to see the Illinois governor, take the bait a little bit and have some fun with it. But I think we'll focus on the current state lines ultimately.
Is there any movement afoot to file suit against the NCAA for the Hoosiers being snubbed by the select committee in favor of North Carolina?
That was outrageous, and I'm still very bitter about it. I'm so sick of watching this NCAA tournament and not seeing my IU Hoosiers participating in it. But I will say, very excited about the new coach coming in from West Virginia.
Yeah, Darren DeVries.
Yeah, we shouldn't even be in a position. We are the basketball state in the country. We shouldn't even be in a position where we have to fight for a position there. We should be a number 1 or 2 seed every year. So, that was outrageous. North Carolina has no business being in it.
Well, you better be on guard today. The Boilermakers better be on guard. They have a tendency to sometimes lay an egg in the first round of that High Point team. They can score. I'm just saying.
You're right. We're kind of down to Purdue this year in Indiana, so we're all going to be rooting for them. But hey, they went to the championship last year, and hopefully they have ironed out some of those quick exits that we've seen in the past.
Carlin Yoder is Trump's Indiana State Director. He's part of the Lake County, Lincoln Day dinner on Saturday night, featuring our very own Amy Jacobson, who will be giving treatises on free market economics in between courses.
Why?
Right?
You gave it away. Exactly. How did you know? All
right. The details again on this Saturday night's Lake County Lincoln Day dinner for people who want to attend.
There's a few tickets left, but their last 3 events have sold out. So do it today. LakeCountyRepublicanParty.com. LakeCountyRepublicanParty.com. And we'll see you on Saturday.
Carlin Yoder, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
ZipRecruiter is the place. ZipRecruiter is the place for talented teachers, savvy software developers, and master mixologists. ZipRecruiter is the place where you meet all these people and more. That's because ZipRecruiter is the place for job seekers who are looking for new opportunities. In fact, ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day, so you can find the right candidates right away. It's no wonder that ZipRecruiter is the place